Hello, I'm Nancy Bell from Oshkosh Public Library, and this is Book Buzz, where I'll take one book that's recently been getting a lot of buzz on bestsellers lists, review sites, or social media, breaking it down into definable elements, and then suggesting 3 books that have similar themes, writing styles, characters, and overall general vibes. Today I'm talking about The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. He's had lots of very popular fantastic books, but this is his most recent New York Times bestseller. Our main character, upon the death of his father in June of 1954, Emmett Watson is dropped back home by the warden of the juvenile work farm, where he has been released after serving 15 months for involuntary manslaughter. He is welcomed home by his 8-year-old brother Billy, who is very anxious to leave for San Francisco to find their mother who abandoned them. But plans immediately go sideways when Emmett discovers that 2 friends from the work farm have escaped by hiding themselves in the trunk of the warden's car, and they've hatched a different plan for Emmett: to find the $150,000 stashed in their family's Adirondack Mountains cabin. So let's go ahead and break down those elements of the Lincoln Highway that I'll be looking for in a read-alike. So first up, we have historical fiction as well as a coming-of-age story. So this is going to be a story set in the past with a young person transitioning from being a child into being an adult. It's really character-driven. We're looking for growth and development of characters at the center of the book. Their growth is often more important than the events going on around them. It's really atmospheric with dramatic tone. The setting of this book really comes alive. We're transported to this time period and place. It's really dramatic in that it's like a larger-than-life story of this epic road trip adventure. It's really compelling. We're drawn into this story, and we are along for the ride, just like Emmett and Billy. We also have a large cast of characters, kind of self-explanatory. There are a lot of characters in this book as we travel the road. And yeah, if we can get it, we'll take a bonus of a road trip theme. So let's get to looking at some read-alikes. First up, we have Last Bus to Wisdom by Ivan Doig. In the summer of 1951, 11-year-old Donald's grandmother sends him to live in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, with his great-aunt while she undergoes surgery. But he quickly finds out that great-aunt Kate is domineering and tyrannical, and she sends Donald right back to Montana, along with her husband, the 2 of them experiencing haphazard adventures along the way, all of it narrated through the overactive imagination of Donald himself. So let's go ahead and take a look at those elements. Obviously, both of these are historical fiction set in the 1950s, and they're following resourceful orphans on a coming-of-age road trip that completely changes their lives. While the writing style is actually more engaging than compelling in this one, we're less urgently drawn into the story, but we are absolutely captivated by Donald's overactive imagination and his misadventures with Uncle Herman. In Last Bus to Wisdom, it has more of a heartwarming or amusing tone as opposed to like a dramatic one. We have an uplifting emotional connection to the story. So overall, it's a gentler, more nostalgic vibe, but it's absolutely still a viable read-alike for fans of the Lincoln Highway. Our second read-alike is one that I absolutely love. I read it for a community book club here in Oshkosh. This is This Tenderland by William Kent Kruger. Our main narrator is 12-year-old orphan Odie and his 16-year-old brother Albert. They are the only white students at the Lincoln Indian Training School, which is a Depression-era school in Minnesota. It is for Native American children who have been taken from their parents to assimilate and Americanize them. And so when natural disaster strikes, these characters are threatened with more abuse. And so the brothers and 2 friends escape this sadistic boarding school, heading for St. Louis, where they believe their aunt lives. And so they share this summer odyssey that's marked by these different experiences that are actually pretty wild. And they meet struggling farmers, faith healers, as well as other lost souls. So let's go ahead and break down those elements. So this is also historical fiction. It is taking place in 1930s Minnesota. But the Lincoln Highway is definitely more complex. It involves multiple perspectives as well as a non-linear storyline, whereas this Tenderland relies on a single child narrator, Odie, and he tells much more of a straightforward beginning to end adventure on the road. But both stories are about orphans traveling America to understand, the journey within. But this is also really atmospheric. It brings you to 1930s Minnesota with the struggles of post-Depression America, as well as this vibrant and massive landscape that they're traversing. And so, you're meeting all these different characters, enjoying these misadventures. Absolutely a great read-alike option if you enjoy the Lincoln Highway. Okay, so this last one is a little bit out there for a read-alike, but just trust me. Years after a massive Ponzi scheme implodes in New York, dragging countless of fortunes with it, a victim of the fraud is hired to investigate the seemingly unrelated strange occurrence of a woman vanishing from a container ship off the coast of Mauritania in The Glass Hotel by Emily St. Mandel. Okay, so after hearing a little bit of the summary, you probably agree with me right now that it's a little bit out there, but just listen to this breakdown of elements, okay? So at its core, The Glass Hotel is also a literary coming-of-age story. It also has really sympathetic, flawed characters, just like the Lincoln Highway, and the language and writing style is so atmospheric. It really beautifully describes these settings that it actually transports you to. If you've read an Emily St. Mandel novel, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. Although The Glass Hotel, in classic Emily St. Mandel fashion, does include magical realism or some fantasy elements. There are ghosts that appear in an otherwise realistic novel. But it's this tale of interconnected fates with this large cast of characters, with this intricate plot as we follow non-linearly, jumping backwards and forwards through time, and a little bit into alternate realities. But this is an excellent read-alike if you're into any kind of sci-fi and fantasy, but you also want the same feeling of a historical fiction novel. And so that is exactly what makes it a great read-alike for the Lincoln Highway. And those are the 3 read-alikes I have for you today. If you liked this video, give it a like and subscribe to the library's YouTube channel for more content. If you have any suggestions or questions, please leave a comment below, or you can always get a hold of me at the library reference desk, and I'll, as always, leave a link. Thanks so much for watching, and let's all get back to reading.